Welcome back to the Mets'd podcast presented by Fox 1. And the 2025 New York Mets season was a failure. So there's going to be a lot of guys who will not return. We're going to give you our 10 players we think will not return for the 2026 season. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how hard this is going to be. We'll see. And you'll know why we see, because the first guy we're starting off with is Pete Alonso. An article by Mike Puma just came out, and Pete was saying, well, I shouldn't say Pete. Mike Puma was saying some pretty crazy stuff that Pete might have said,
through
especially through Scott Boras, especially that Pete is looking for a 7-year contract. And when you see that and hear that Pete is hoping and wishing with Scott Boras as an agent for a 7-year contract, all of a sudden I don't feel as confident that the Mets are going to bring him back.
Can I read you some of the big quotes from that article?
Please do.
So the one big thing, like you just said, the 7-year contract. So as Puma writes, Alonso, who turns 31 in December, is expected to seek a contract of at least 7 years, a length consistent with deals the player's agent Scott Boras completed in recent seasons for Marcus Semien and Matt Chapman at the same age. Chapman received a 6-year extension from the Giants after his first season with the club on a different contract. And to that, I think the biggest difference, clearly, that you can tell right off the bat between Pete Alonso, Matt Chapman, and Marcus Semien is those guys both play elite, top-end, high-end defense, arguably, at the time, at the positions, the best defense in the entire league, at not premium positions, but just a hair below premium positions, while Pete Alonso very much does not. And that's kind of been the sticking point with Pete's contract the last 12 months.
And the one thing I will say for Pete's benefit is one thing that he does that those guys don't do. He's a significantly better hitter. He absolutely mashes. He's an elite power hitter in the game. Those guys are good hitters.
Great
but Pete is on a different level. The difference there is the defense and the idea that where's Pete's home going to ultimately be in 4 years? Is he going to still be able to play first base? Is he going to be a DH? You just don't pay that kind of money. And it is still crazy to me that in a time where we have other first basemen to comp contracts off of, especially guys like Freddie Freeman and Matt Olson, guys who are comparable to Pete, if not better at times, at least comparable, and their contracts don't look like what Pete is asking for. Like, I don't know, if Pete wants 7 at 140, sure, I'd pay him any day. You want $20 million a year? Not a problem. But we know Pete's going to be looking for that $30 million a year price range, and at 7 years, that feels kind of insane.
I don't think I'd ever consider a 7-year deal for Pete Alonso. Like
Not for 140. That feels so cheap at that point. He's gonna hit 35 home runs a year for the next 5. I feel like you could pencil him in there. Once he gets to like 35, 36, you get worried.
You're probably looking for Pete Alonso, and we'll get to more of this Puma article in a second, but this is a good discussion now. You're probably looking for Pete Alonso once he turns 34, which is still a ways away. I think you can still get 3 very high-end seasons for Pete Alonso.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
There's a clear, but then you're talking about a 7-year deal. There's a clear and obvious world where Pete's entering his age 34, 35 age season, and you're looking at a 240 hitter with 300 on base percentage.
Sure. That's
with no defensive value.
Without a doubt, yes.
Yes, and I know that Pete will still, even with that, mash his 35 home runs, but there's definitely a play discipline floor with Pete and an on-base percentage floor with Pete. And this is also a funny thing. I didn't even realize that Semien, heading into that contract that he got with the Rangers, that 6-year deal, he had 2 out of 3 seasons where he had actually a higher OPS than Alonso did this year.
Yes, and played premium defense at second base. They're not.
Yes.
It's a weird. I know why Scott Boras is comparing them because he has to.
Oh, it makes perfect sense.
But for anybody who thinks about it for 10 seconds, you go, wait a second. I like Pete more, but they're not the same kind of player in terms of value. And especially when we hear David Stearns talk about how much they want to value defense, even though we don't think first base is that important. He's not going to give 7 years to a guy who probably for half that's going to end up being a full-time DH.
And at the same time, when Semien did have 2 of those 3 seasons, those were the outliers in his career. To that point, those were the only 2 seasons of Semien's entire career. He even had an OPS above 750, and it was an 890 and an 870. So it's you look back and you're like, okay, this probably was a bad deal. Chapman, I think you could probably strike more comparisons because Chapman does have a lot of the elite underlying hitting things that Pete does have.
Yeah.
The production's never been as great as Pete's. And of course, the defense is much better. But for some reason, Scott Boras and Pete have tried to do this the entire time they've been talking about.
And it hasn't worked for a second.
Try to link Pete to other players who are not lumbering first basemen. It just doesn't. It just simply doesn't work. I think the rest of the league sees that 7-year deal, and basically the whole league scoffs. I think the most amount of years Pete will get from anyone, I think, is 5. I think that's the ceiling. Nice. Here you go.
Here you go.
And sadly, I do think it might be a team like the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, a team that maybe isn't that sharp on the margins, a team that's not really thinking in a full breath manner.
I think there's a world where the Red Sox could be on Pete. Again, it really does depend what he wants his contract to be, though, because at 7 years, there's almost nobody who's going to give him that. I don't, like you said, the Angels might be dumb enough to do that,
5.
and that's also disrespectful to Pete. But it's just you're not getting that contract. I want Pete back on the Mets, but if this is the flag he's planted, him and Boris, and this is what they're going to fight for, we're going to see Pete on the free agent market until March, and then the Mets will be totally back in. And until then, I don't think the Mets are going to be even slightly close to getting him.
And I'll say this too, just to piss off more of you guys, but also still be fair to Pete. I have a lot of these same concerns with another guy in the free agent market who Mets fans want, like Kyle Schwarber. Like, I think that's another guy I wouldn't give more than 3 years to him. He's 34 years old.
He's a 3-year deal, 100%.
But
in my world.
Yes. And I think, again, if Pete, again, something like 4 years seems like the sweet spot for Pete, because I still don't know if he'd take it. And also maybe another opt-out, because we know that last year that there were a lot of rumors, and they've kind of been corroborated. The Mets were willing to go to the 3-4 year line for Pete, but he wanted the short-term deal to prove his worth, which is where this next big quote from the Puma article will come in. After negotiations stalled last January, team officials convened with Alonso in Tampa, Florida, in an attempt to strike a deal. An animated Alonso, according to sources, told President of Baseball Operations David Stearns that in the long run, he planned to be hitting 500 home runs and go to the Hall of Fame, whether it was for the Mets or someone else. Alonso's impassioned statements may have left an impression on Cohen, who hadn't really gotten to know the first baseman to that point. So I think that quote does two things.
Weird.
One, it's kind of weird, but I do believe that. I can see Pete getting like a little bit agitated in these kind of situations.
Oh, that's not even the weird part for me. I can see Pete Alonso being like, bro, I'm gonna hit 500 home runs with you or with somebody else. Like, and Boris almost telling him to say that kind of stuff as well, like coaching him up. The weird part was Cohen didn't really know him. He's been there the entire time Cohen's owned the team.
I think the part of this too that's important, because I think it's the way that Boris is going to try and lead these negotiations, is driving a wedge between Cohen, Stearns, and the fan base. You know what I mean?
Well, it's kind of like what happened at the end of last year when they had the Mets Fan Fest and everyone was chanting, "We re-sign Alonso." And again, I'm glad we did. This is not, Monday morning quarterback being like, we should never sign him. Love Pete, want him back. But that was also a little bit of a wedge too, because that everyone in the Mets community was like, Cohen told Stearns to go get Pete, not the other way around, even though I do think people overplay how much impact David Stearns actually has on these negotiations and deals.
Yeah, I think actually I would say David Stearns played this perfectly. He got the exact deal for Pete that he wanted, and something that was good for the team and for Pete himself. But again, right now, if Pete is steadfast that he wants 5, 6, or 7, I don't see the Mets doing that.
Me either.
I just think that probably has to come down if he's going to be realistic about his market. Yeah.
And if that's it, that's why he's at the top of this video of Mets who won't return. At that price point, which sounds crazy for a team that has all the money in the world, but you can't take bad contracts. I was arguing with people on Twitter about this the other day. It's all about contracts still at the end of the day. We just got off the bad Starling Marte one. We took the bad Robinson Cano one in the past. James McCann. Like, we've had bad contracts. I think as a fan base, we should be tired of that and be like, how do we make a sustainable team rather than this year is the only year and then we go, oh shit, 4 years from now, we're fucked. We have no money.
And I think there's also part of this too, where fans, I think players expect to be rewarded for things like loyalty and consistency and achievement. But I think the reality is that you get paid in baseball free agency for what you will do, not what you have done. And that is
it used to be the other way around.
Definitely. This has been like a 7-8 year time period where this changed, but that is kind of a tough pill to swallow, especially for a guy like Pete who's like, bro, hey, fuck, they're 40 home runs, 120 RBIs. What's the fucking problem here? Like, I'm fun. Everyone loves me. Like, this is it. But entering his age 31 season, where again, all the big metrics of Pete ticked up. Like, he checked he checked a lot of huge boxes here, especially the underlying stuff. The fact that the bat speed trended back up, the fact that he hit the ball hard more consistently. We kind of took shots at Pete last off. Not took shots, but just in the points we were critical at with Pete was the fact that it seemed like sometimes too often he was taking his B swing. He was just kind of too willing to lay the ball off. He was seeking batting average, but not able to find it because he wasn't using his strength, which is hitting for power. This year, he said, fuck that. He said, fuck the B swing. I'm going to hit tanks all the time. He really covered the outside of the plate better and with power. And that's how the batting average and everything rose, while also the power metrics and all like that stuff rose. But at the same time, he doesn't pull the ball a lot. He swings and misses a good bit relatively. Like, he doesn't walk a ton. We know the defense is bad. Those are things that when you look at the guy aging between 31, 32, 33, 34 can really curtail your production. So that's kind of where that's why it's a very interesting free agency period right now.
And I can't wait to make 100 videos on it until he signs with a team eventually. So this will not be the last you hear of us talking about that. Let's move on to the next player that won't return on this team, Edwin Diaz. I think these are the two most interesting players to talk about. I weirdly think he will, just because I actually have a weird feeling in my chest that David Stern's like, I need Edwin Diaz back. Like, now that I have money, this is one of those where it might not be stupid to actually pay one of the best relievers in the game, who's always been one of the best relievers in the game, except with the juice baseball, the money that he deserves. Like, he is a game changer. The Mets win 75 games if Edwin Diaz isn't on this team. That's crazy to say, but it's true.
And I know we missed the playoffs. People are like, oh, I'm not saying anyone would actually say this, but logically, like, oh, you missed the playoffs with this guy, you can miss the playoffs without this guy. But when you watch these playoff games, you see how valuable it is to have a mutant in the back of your bullpen. The fact that we have the king of the mutants, Edwin Diaz, the guy who is, I'll still say, the second best reliever in baseball behind Mason Miller.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's fair. Yeah, because like Aroldis Chapman, great year, but Edwin Diaz is still better than Aroldis Chapman. He just might have had a better season.
Edwin also had a tremendous season. And that's
incredible, yeah.
But I also think there'll be a point here with Edwin where he is opting out. He's over 30 years old. He already is the highest paid reliever in baseball. He has both the highest AAV and the highest total value of his contract.
Did Hader not break that?
No, Hader's at 19, Edwin's at 20.
Oh,
Hader was 5 for 95, Edwin was 5 for 102.
Well, okay.
So I do think that you'd be like, hey, let's just run. We'll give you another year or two on the back with the same deal. Let's not make this crazy. If you do go to free agency, we are going to hit you with the qualifying offer because that's the business of the game. And if you're hit with the qualifying offer, it's really going to dampen your market. And you might beat this AAV, but you might have opted out for less years. And no one wants that to happen. No one wants to do that. Edwin lost a couple ticks in that fastball this year, a tick. We know that. You worry about a two-pitch pitcher like Edwin, again, about aging, but we don't. It's still so elite, similar to Pete with his bat speed right now, where I think we have ample time before you can possibly fall off a cliff. And that's the case. You got 2 or 3 more years. Edwin's probably one of the 5 best relievers in baseball. I think it makes sense for everybody to come back together.
Yeah, the only reason he's on this video is because if Edwin Diaz is like, I want 6 years at 120, you can kiss him goodbye. And I think there's a world where he might ask that because the numbers are that good.
But who would give that to him?
The Los Angeles Angels. I come back to them every single time. Every time I think of a bad contract, the Angels. I mean, there are some teams that probably.
I'm thinking about Pete now too, but a team like the Nationals probably have tons of money to spend trying to make a splash, but also
what about the Yankees?
For Edwin?
Yeah.
I mean, the Yankees, we know how unwilling the Yankees have been to go over those luxury tax thresholds. And they are getting
What about the Dodgers?
I think we'd end this podcast possibly, but I only wanted to put you to that in universe. It's like people throwing around the Phillies too, but like, all right, then you move Bryce Harper back to the outfield. You just got another unathletic dude to put in the middle of that
that's
lineup.
With Alonso, yes.
Yeah, with Alonso. I got the Nationals are a team, and now they popped up in my head. They're interesting for both these guys,
but they also are still so far away.
They're so far away, but you have to start to make people believe in something. But that will come down to it for these guys as well. And I know it probably is hard to sell the concept of how good we are and how committed we are to winning. Not the commitment to winning, but how much we can win because how bad this season was. But if you're Pete or Edwin and you're looking at another year and an extra few $1 million AAV for another team, that might suck. And they're giving you this contract because maybe they're not the most prudent in terms of how they run their team. Do you even take that?
I don't know. Like the Mets may not win every year. They may have bad years, but it does feel like at least organizationally they're going to try to win. And there are not many teams that you can say that every single year.
October baseball is here. The pressure's on, the lights are brighter, and with DraftKings Sportsbook, you're right there in the middle of every moonshot moment. DraftKings Sportsbook delivers the intensity of October with player props, live in-game betting, and odds that can change as fast as a ball flying over the fence. New customers, bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get paid out $300 in bonus bets instantly. If I needed this product, it's what I'd use. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, pass-through of per-wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
And maybe, I don't know, my mind's just going back to Pete stuff. Like maybe Pete actually lost a lot of faith in his team this year. Like maybe he broke the home run record. He was in that clubhouse that we don't know what it was like all year. And he was just like,
Maybe it's also the change the Mets need. Like you just mentioned with Edwin, having one with him. I don't know. Like Pete's awesome, but maybe he's not the answer.
I mean, we talk about a lot
I do think he is though, but
we talk about a lot the Wilpon stench on this roster and some of these players in this organization. I think another guy that has this that definitely could have played his last games at Met is Jeff McNeil.
I think there's a more than likely chance he is not on this team by opening day.
And he's a guy who, he's a friend of the channel. We do love Jeff, but there's the way this has gone the last few years, the way that he kind of yells a lot. It seems like there could be a point where the emotional strength of the stability of this team might be a little bit better if he's not there, despite the fact that he can still help a baseball team win.
Yeah, that's why maybe they would trade him, is because he has his contract will only be 1 year left, right? Like last year would be his last year with the Mets anyway. So it's a little more movable, being an expiring contract. And the fact that he can help you win right now is enticing for a team, especially because it's only 1 year to pay him. It is a lot of money. But at the same time, the Mets have some younger players coming up. We know Jet Williams is on his way up. He could be a guy who could be playing second base. Brett Beatty could play second base if the Mets want to go out and get a third baseman. There's second baseman available. There's a world where Jeff McNeil, I don't want to say becomes redundant, but for the possible strife he could cause maybe in the Mets clubhouse or for the vibes.
Not that we know that.
Not that we know. We don't know anything, but he is a bit of a hardo sometimes. Maybe the Mets go, not anymore. Again, it's kind of the thing where it's like, how many times are we going to keep running out this same team and expect a different outcome when most of these guys have been here for 5-6 years and we haven't seen anything really close besides last year, which was a miracle.
Yeah, and at the same time, I think Jeff McNeil can still be a tick better than a league average hitter and a base and a tick better than a plus defender at second base.
I wouldn't feel bad if Jeff is on this team next year in 2026. I would not feel bad. I would not be upset. I just, again, in this video, we're speculating, and I have a good chance David Stearns might try and cash in on Jeff McNeil right now.
And there is this world where, kind of like we're saying, there might just be a value in shuffling up this roster a lot, like getting in some youth, getting in some new faces, some new personalities, some new heads. Not to detract from Jeff McNeil, but just getting just younger, faster. Like there's always that can help.
I got a kind of crazy thing to say, but like where that McNeil was part of like Pete's team, right, and Lindor's team. Soto's going to be here for 15 years. They're going to start to build Juan Soto's team.
Oh, definitely. And also, they should.
Yes, that's the right direction to go. He's one of the best players in baseball. I'd love for him to be getting his guys in here and guys that help Juan Soto win as much as physically possible. One guy that I don't think helps Juan Soto win as much as physically possible, positionless, Mark Vientos. And the thing that sucks about him is his value's got to be almost zero right now because he hit like shit. He has no position in the field, and he can't run. There's not a lot of things there. Now, you do hold on to the hope that maybe he can go back to 2024 where he mashed. And we saw a stretch in 2025 where he did.
Just August.
Just August. It was a stretch. Just August. The problem is that now everyone's seen him take more than 10 ground balls at the third base position. They've seen him catch a ball at first base, and none of it looks pretty, especially at third base. And if you're not going to hit, you can't be first base. And if you're not going to hit, you can't be DH.
Do you think if you call the White Sox, you get that same trade from the deadline?
What was the trade at the deadline? Vientos for Robert?
Yeah, the rumored Vientos for Robert.
I beg. Remember when people were killing us for saying that? I wish that trade happened.
It was also funny because, well, one, Robert got hurt immediately after, and then also Vientos smashed. So good. But Vientos also mashed immediately after before hitting the tank again in September. But I'm
kind of done with him.
It just seems like he's not going to be on this team. The thing that kind of got me more upset about Vientos at times this year, rather than even the production, because like baseball's hard, sophomore slump. I understand that. It can wax and wane.
League adjusts.
Just the attitude that he displayed sometimes kind of frustrated me. The fact that how bad the body language was, like the fact he was throwing his bat and throwing his helmet, like he was acting a little diva-ish. And I don't know, like got great last year.
I told you I didn't love the frosted tips going into the offseason. I'm like, buddy, you had 85
hair
games.
The next game.
Like, you're sitting courtside. Who the fuck do you think you are? Whatever.
Yeah, maybe, but it's just like
that's me being an old man.
There's an attitude that's a big part of baseball because it's a game of failure. You're going to fail way more than you're ever going to succeed. Like there's a bullshit old adage where it's like you fail 7 times out of 10, you're one of the greatest players ever. But
yes.
it seemed that Vientos would kind of mentally spiral. It did seem like it hit a boiling point with Mendoza specifically, where he benched him when Beatty got hurt.
Yeah.
And he said it to the media, he's like, you can't, those are routine plays. Ball went through his legs in a must-win game. Like, it just can't happen. You can't make plays in that and expect to be a player that's set in a winning team. And we saw him be a good player in a winning team, but it's just, who knows? And
David Stern's comments, again, felt almost directly about Mark Vientos.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and speaking of David Stern's comments, Kodai Senga feels like he probably isn't coming back either, which feels crazy to say because just a few years ago it was like, whoa, Kodai Senga, and even coming into this year was like, if we can get Kodai, feels pretty good, but he's weird. I can't shake the feeling that I've got with him right now, and it is not a good one.
And again, just to refresh you guys, what David Stern said in that end of season, like post-mortem press conference, is that I think it would be foolish or it'd be silly to expect a full season, 30 starts out of a guy like Kodai Senga. So that's basically saying that you are not reliable at this point. Like you're not that guy. And I think they probably do still likely keep him on the roster, even just for the point of this exercise, because he is so cheap. He's only making, I think, $14 or $15 million this year. I'm going to pull it up right now, but
we do know that guys are going to get hurt, and guys are going to be healthy, and guys are going to be hurt, and maybe 25 starts is the best version of Kodai Senga we get. Maybe that's where his sweet spot, not throwing that many innings, but
yeah. Like as of right now, he has 2 years and $30 million on that contract, and the 2028 option will kick in if the player has Tommy John surgery or a right elbow injury that keeps him on the injured list for 130 plus days. The option price increases to $2 million with a Cy Young, or $1 million if he's second through fifth in the voting. So just to give you how strange and convoluted that option is, again, it gives a sense of what it's been like for the Kodai Senga experience in the last 18 months.
It's an uncomfortable feeling right now. And again, Kodai's comments may be lost in translation, but they sound weird. David Stern's comments about him sound weird. Feels like there's a bit of a falling out. Shout out Tim Healy kind of putting this on our radar back in spring training.
And you also kind of have that thing where, you know, it felt weird from the outside, but you have a lot of the beat reporters be like, the relationship between Kodai Senga and the Mets could not be better. Nothing makes me feel worse than a vote of confidence that strong, truthfully.
No, absolutely not. It's like your girlfriend's like, how are we? We're like, better than ever. It's like, things are probably not doing that well.
It's like, why do you feel the need to say that? We shouldn't have to say that. Things are actually really good.
I shouldn't have to reassure you that things are good.
But also, I really understand the Mets' internal frustration for Kodai Senga after the way this season went down. Like, it's just, and we said it in like during the offseason. Like, of course, like Pete, Lindor, Nemo Alonso, like those are the most important players in the team. But Kodai was the X factor. If you get any semblance of top rotation stuff from Kodai Senga this year, the Mets might still be playing baseball right now. Maybe not, but at least would have played more baseball than they played.
And while we knew it was not real, it wasn't true, he had a 2 ERA through the first couple months, and the Mets were winning baseball games. So while we knew that Kodai, it wasn't sticky the way that he was pitching to continue to perform like his ERA said, the ERA was low and the Mets were winning baseball games. I mean, it was just blatantly obvious what was going on.
And we've talked about this phenomenon a few times, and we will a lot more for these next couple of weeks when we start to get into the meat and potatoes of the offseason content in the Mets podcast. But there's a phenomenon with the Mets rotation right now where if you polled 100 Met fans who the Mets need a starting pitcher, 70% of those people would say you need 2 or 3, and everyone would say you would need at least 1. But under contract next season, the Mets still have Clay Holmes, Sean Manaea, David Peterson, Kodai Senga, then you have Nolan McLean, Brandon Sproat, and Jonah Tong. That's it.
And Christian Scott's coming back.
And Christian Scott coming back probably around June, July. So you, off the bat, you got 8 starting pitchers. to bring guys in, you need to clear some roster spots.
Money.
And money less so. We know the money is less of an issue here, but Jonah Tong and Brandon Sproat likely still start the year in the minor leagues unless one of those guys just goes ape shit in spring training.
Unless Jonah Tong learns a slider, maybe.
Yeah, or Brandon Sproat just comes out, he starts missing bats for the first time, or really could just throw 100 instead of 97. Nolan McLean's in rotation opening day guaranteed. Manaea Peterson rotation opening day guaranteed. And Clay Holmes is in the rotation opening day guaranteed. More so than money, the thing we need to clear is the spot. And you need to improve on something. You need to get more consistency. You need to get more effectiveness. And last year, Kodai was sadly neither of those things.
No.
There probably just is a world where you can actually get something for Kodai. You could take on another similar size, similar length contract of a different position of need. A 2 for 30. Like you could find a 2 for 30 any position. They'd be a starting caliber player. It seems like it makes some sense for them to explore that market.
I think, they're definitely at least going to take a look. Or you have Kodai, and he could be a long guy in the bullpen. You could get creative with him because he plays for this team. He has no other choice.
And he's only making $15 million. So if he's a reliever, if you turn him into a reliever, it's actually not that bad of a thing at the end of the day.
No, it's not the worst case scenario. I'd prefer him to go back to being 2023
Very
Kodai
much,
Senga, but
very
that's
much.
probably not happening.
No, like $50 million. Like that's the range of like Seiya Suzuki.
Yeah.
Imagine Seiya Suzuki's awesome.
Cubs trying to get cheap again.
People talk about the fact that Wilson Contreras is probably available via trade. He's making 17 next year. Not saying
He's got aura.
Not saying I want to do that, but I'm just saying like those are the kind of like even money moves. Not saying the Cardinals would take him. Maybe there'd be a 3-team trade involved where someone else gets him, something like that. But like even if there's a trade where money has to make sense, there's probably avenues to get rid of Kodai Senga and still get something of relative value back in return.
KP, we both love Omaha Steaks. My latest order, 6 private reserve filet mignons. It sounds bougie because it is. They were fantastic. And also 1.5 pounds of jumbo cooked shrimp with a big initial discount and then an additional $35 off with the code FOUL. You have been a long time Omaha Steaks guy too.
Yeah, back in college, I would always order steaks. I'd put them in my freezer. And that's the reason I bulked up, is because I always had fresh steaks in my freezer ready to go.
Delicious protein. Get after it, okay? It is the best in the biz. If you're ordering steaks online, you can save big with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during their early Black Friday sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code FOUL at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com. Promo code FOUL at checkout.
All right, let's quickly go through these next few guys here. Starling Marte, James, will not be back. Can you believe it?
No, he won't. He's the unk, but it's just he's not really a vital part of this team. And I do wonder if we get any murmurs or anything about how that affects the clubhouse Juan Soto, because there was a lot of stuff with him and Soto this year.
Yeah, I mean they seem tight as hell, but Starling Marte can't play the field, and while he had moments where he hit, he's not a major league everyday player on a team that's trying to go to the playoffs, as we saw.
Just not enough power and patience. Similarly, at this point, just because it's injuries, Jesse Winker.
Yeah, and
I don't think he
didn't really play well with the Mets either. Actually,
no, Jesse Winker. I'm also kind of worried because I do like Jesse Winker as a person, as a player. I'm worried that he might be kind of halfway done.
Yeah, the amount of the back injury just deteriorating like that, it's got a scary feeling as a person, not as a Mets fan.
Yeah, it's a very scary look. Some other guys who I think I'm so proud, so happy to say will not be back. We'll run through these quickly.
Give them the middle finger salute.
Ryan Stanek, you're out of here. Ryan Helsley, you're out of here.
See ya.
Weird part of me again. I said it before. I'll say it again. I'll keep saying it. I think Ryan Helsley finds tremendous success somewhere almost immediately.
Oh God, he's gonna be so good for the Rangers. Lock him in.
I'll say this because I know we'll hate Ryan Helsley's Mets fans forever. Like there was definitely some of you that were like,
he's what everyone thought Daniel Vogelback was.
Yeah, definitely. But Ryan, and you saw it with David Bednar.
Ryan Helsley is the Juan Soto of Daniel Vogelbacks.
Ryan Helsley is the Juan Soto. You lost me in that one, but if someone else understood that in the comments, let us know.
There we go. We'll see if anybody gets it.
But you've seen some of these guys struggle with pitch tipping. You saw it with David Bednar, and he had to go to the minor leagues. He literally spent a full year of being turbo dog shit, and then he was one of the most important players in the Yankees in their playoff run. So it can definitely happen. When you have this stuff, that stuff's not going anywhere. So I think Ryan Helsley will be a successful major leaguer again. One guy who I don't think is going to be a successful major leaguer again, and he's definitely not coming back to this team, not with a 10-foot pole, Cedric Mullins. See you later. That's
absolutely gone. Not back.
Absolutely not back. We don't have to embellish on that. Hopefully it's the last time we ever mention Cedric Mullins in this podcast, honest to God.
He's going to hit a huge home run against us, don't worry. But
there's no way.
The way he played at the end of the season for the Mets is like damning to his career.
That's what I'm saying. I think that basically next year Cedric Mullins has to catch on with like one of the worst teams in the league and try and recoup value. Like he's going to sign a 1-for-5 with the White Sox or the Rockies and just see if he can get back into a starting lineup, be a vet for the guys in spring training, and hope that you even play tolerably enough to try the trade deadline thing again. And if you get sent somewhere, you just don't do what you did this time.
And then the last guy, not a middle finger salute.
No.
Griffin Canning. Mets fans are obsessed with this guy. We loved Griffin Canning while he was here. He's our cheap king. Shout out the Braves.
Team fell apart the second he got injured.
Of course. He snapped his Achilles, and the Mets were like, fuck, we have no pitching anymore. That was probably the biggest problem with this entire team was how reliant we were on Griffin Canning. That's when we should have known when we were in trouble, when we were like, shit, Griffin Canning's hurt. That guy wasn't supposed to be on this team when the season started. He ended up being incredible for us. Started coming back down to earth, but he's someone who, one, coming back from a major injury, who knows when he's going to be actually ready to go. The Achilles is terrifying. We saw what it did to Mike Soroka, how long it took for him to come back. But two, he's going to want to pitch. And on this Mets rotation right now, there's just absolutely no room for a Griffin Canning type.
Unless you get Griffin Canning back on like a like he can go to the minor
spring
league
training
deal.
invite,
yeah, spring training invite, minor league deal. You rehab with and you allow us to put you in the minor leagues and come up to be a long man when you'd like
almost like Brooks Raley-ish this past year, where it's like
no, like he becomes Hageman next year.
No, I mean in the sense of we're going to sign you knowing you're injured.
Oh, yeah.
You need to rehab, but you're going to be in the minors until we're ready for you.
But I'm saying his role, despite how well he pitched, because of the injury uncertainties, he becomes Hageman, SP now.
100%, which I'd love Griffin Canning as our Hagenman. We also still have Justin Hagenman. So
and Justin Hageman still has two options. He's gonna be here a lot next year.
You know what? Justin Hagenman's gonna be Justin Hagenman next year. That's a guarantee.
That's a good point. This really gets depressing sometimes talk about this team. I don't want to look back that much more, truthfully.
No, well, I think this is probably the last. This feels like the last look back, right?
We probably have to a few more times, kind of.
Why are we doing this?
You have to a little bit more. Let's gotta let the World Series end, then we can start getting after
I was about to say, once the World Series happens, no more looking back.
No, once the new league year begins, seal it.
Once Pete Alonso is officially off this team, once he's officially a free agent, because he's technically not yet, then we can start looking forward. But until then, we will keep going back and having PTSD.
Yeah, that's it. And we're sorry if we gave you guys PTSD in this one too. But we got to try and pick which of these guys we don't think are going to be on the team next year.
And there's at least 10, it feels like. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you're subscribed to the Mets'd Podcast YouTube channel. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download and subscribe. You can follow James on social media at
James Shiano.
I'm Giraffe Nick Mark with a C. Also subscribe to the Windup. I'm plugging that. Subscribe to the Windup for all baseball content. We see some of you Mets'd Up people over there. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. That's it for us over here, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you all next time. Peace out.
Peace out, guys. Let's go Mets.